It was supposed to be just a routine fax to the CEO of the Intertrack Corporation, James Thomas, while he was on a trade mission abroad. Instead, somehow attached to that fax was a document that should never have left the four walls of his company. A detailed draft of a highly confidential patent application. He immediately ordered his assistant to find out what happened. But at that point, he didn't even know the full extent of the exposure. Someone from Intertrack's headquarters had faxed that same transmission to 3 previous stops on Thomas's tightly scheduled itinerary, but kept missing him. That meant that 3 copies of this secret document were floating around, literally spread across the world. Only 2 of those copies have been accounted for so far. The 3rd is still missing. Who knows where it might be? Who might have read it or intercepted it? Needless to say, Mr. Thomas wanted answers. Before he even got back, Mr. Thomas ordered Vice President of Information Systems Karen Davis and Executive Vice President Charles Sterling to launch an immediate investigation of the entire corporation's information and computer security vulnerabilities. Their job was to find out how this kind of major lapse could even be allowed to happen, one that might very well end up costing the company millions of dollars and could jeopardize their competitive advantage. He also wanted to know just how widespread the problems actually were. What else might be leaking out?
Oh, Marge, I don't have time right now, but I'll get to you later.
He made it clear this was a top priority, something that could have bottom-line implications for every single employee of the company. He gave Davis and Sterling just 3 days to restore his confidence.
I assembled a team of experts from within IS, as well as from the outside, to assess the technical safeguards of our systems. But at the same time, I knew that that alone wouldn't be enough. In order to be really thorough, in order to really achieve Mr. Thomas's objectives, I felt we needed one more highly unusual component, if you will, of the investigation. That component was Jack Scanlon.
One of the most important aspects of information security is what I like to call the human factor. Things that can be affected by every employee every single day. That's what I specialize in. I'm not a hacker. I don't use any high-tech gadgetry or special software to probe an organization. I work alone. All I ask for is an access badge. Basically, I act as a fly on the wall, looking for those targets of opportunity that are out there in the open.
He looks for the same kinds of things that are accessible to any unauthorized individual. Unescorted outsiders, employees from other departments, vendors and service people.
The point is, people need to think defensively about where information can slip out or be taken out. What I do is simply expose and exploit the many opportunities throughout the course of a day when people don't do that. I like to get my bearings on a target company by reading as much public information as possible. Annual reports, articles, online databases, internet search servers. I use them to get familiar with the corporate culture, product lines, plant locations, the names of key people or projects, even industry buzzwords and insider lingo. The real gold mines are the online discussion forums and internet groups. People exchange information and advice, sometimes some pretty sensitive stuff, usually with the false impression that they're on with just a few of their peers. In reality, thousands of others, including people like me, are reading along. And Jim Russell, R&D director at Intertrack, is a perfect example. I discovered he's a regular on this one that I was tracking. His electronic signature on his postings revealed everything I needed to get started. One of the things I learned was that Jim and his assistant Susan Mueller would be away at a research conference this week. Now, these kinds of small details, when pieced together, give me an insider's view that I can further exploit. I now had my wedge into the company. By assuming the role of an employee or other insider, like a vendor, service person, or visitor, I can get a better view of the many information security vulnerabilities that are common in almost every organization. Excuse me, can you tell me where I'd find the R&D department?
Sure, it's right down that way.
Okay, thanks.
Morning,
Jim Russell and Susan Mueller's area in R&D was my first stop. Since I learned they were away at a conference this week, I figured I'd have a little extra time to poke around. No one ever seems to question the phone repair guy. It's amazing what a great prop a $15 set of tools makes if I'm ever confronted. What I found at Susan's desk is typical. So much confidential information and easy-to-guess hiding places, or just left out in the open. Jim and Susan's passwords, email and voicemail access codes, and encryption keys are perfect examples. Thanks, Susan. I can use all of this stuff later. After spending as long as I could in R&D, I needed a more private place to try out my newly acquired toys. First, I used Jim's login to assume his electronic identity. Then, I emailed, or should I say Jim did, a request for several confidential production reports and delivery schedules. I instructed manufacturing to deliver the printouts to Susan's desk as soon as possible.
Oh, we're going to need this room soon.
Oh, thanks. I'll just be 5 more minutes. I couldn't tell if she suspected something or not. In any event, I didn't want to hang around to find out. I'd already accomplished what I needed anyway. I'd sent that piece of email. The reports were on their way. As I worked my way through the organization throughout the day, I was looking for as many bits and pieces of information that I could find. Things that I could sort out or combine later that might reveal valuable information or act as a stepping stone to gain additional access. Incoming as well as outgoing faxes left unattended are good examples of that. Sensitive documents sent to network printers and other locations present another target of opportunity. Unsecured paper files do too. I then stopped back to R&D to pick up those confidential reports I'd requested via email earlier. By the end of day 1, I had quite a collection. And not even one person had questioned me about who I was or what I was doing. A logged-on workstation. This one has customer data. It sure would jumpstart any competitor's sales effort to have a copy of Intertrac's customer list and sales history. Or if I wanted to, I could alter this data and, for example, redirect this shipment anywhere in the world. I wanted to test the issue of unescorted outsiders, like a service contractor. I knew from having seen the company's vacation schedules that Matt Stevenson in marketing would be out this week. That seemed like a worthwhile target.
Can I help you with something here?
Oh, I was sent over to check this workstation for trouble. Matt Stevenson's, right?
Well, I don't know anything about that. Matt's on vacation. I guess I'd feel more comfortable about this if Matt were here.
Okay. That was the first time anyone questioned my presence. Hard to believe, but typical of most of my assignments, actually. I shouldn't have had to take off my access badge to get their attention, but even there, though, I didn't leave empty-handed. It's easier to get information when people are busy, or distracted, or just careless. Using a screensaver password is a good idea, as long as it's not too easy to guess. Sometimes just by looking around or knowing a bit about a person's hobbies or interests or whatever, I can make a few educated guesses. Sometimes visual clues are literally right at my fingertips. Let's see. Love? No. Dogs? No. Huskies? Cute, but obvious. These kinds of user-created shortcuts make my job easier, and I'm in. Executive salary histories, medical leave status reports, harassment complaints filed. Sensitive stuff. One of the things I had picked up yesterday was that something big was about to happen involving a large Intertrack customer, the CENTCOM Corporation. I also learned that sales manager David Smith had an appointment there first thing. Now, since he had never seen me before anyway, I decided to tag along to see if I could pick up some useful details. Besides, I'd seen him around the office with an expensive laptop. I wanted to see how well he handled himself in public with such a valuable and vulnerable corporate asset. People on the road tend to be less careful out of the office. They should be more careful. Smith clearly paid no attention to who was around him. People who might have understood the details of what he was working on and talking about, or who might be interested in the laptop itself, or the information on it.
Frank, it's Dave Smith. Sorry we keep missing each other. I just got your message about the CENTCOM bid. I'm heading out of town tonight, but if you can drop the bid on my desk, I'll look it over on the plane, and I'll give you a call first thing from the hotel, and we can wrap up the loose ends then. Okay? Thanks.
Just from that little encounter, I now had Smith's voicemail access code and some valuable information about the CENTCOM bid. I had overheard someone in sales mention that this was a popular place for lunch, but for my purposes, it wasn't the food that brought me here. It was to see if I could find out more about CENTCOM.
So you think if we get CENTCOM, it'll push us over the top this quarter?
Easy. I heard it'll be the biggest contract Intertrack's ever landed.
I guess the guys at Saunders and ITC won't be getting a bonus this year if that happens.
Well, Dave will certainly be happy.
We'll make him buy lunch next time.
Good idea.
I'll give him a call right now.
Next, a quick stop off to Smith's desk to pick up another piece of the CENTCOM bid story. The bid draft itself that he had mentioned over his cell phone earlier this morning. Smith said he wouldn't be back into the office until later, so I figured that I had time to beat him to it. Oh, David, Frank asked me to drop this bid off.
Thanks.
Close call. Finally, since I had copied down Smith's voicemail access code in the lobby too, I wanted to see if I could learn anything from that.
Hi, this is Dave Smith. I'm away from...
David, it's Sally Duncan in accounting. I just had a quick question about last month's expense report. Could you give me a call at 2894? Thank you.
Thursday, 11:31 a.m.
Hi, honey. Call me at the office.
Thursday, 11:53 a.m.
Dave, it's Frank. You probably haven't had a chance to look at the CENTCOM bid. Just so you know, despite what it says on the bid form, we're prepared to go as much as 20% lower if we absolutely have to. if that's what it takes to close the deal. Give me a call when you can.
Thursday, 12:44 p.m.
A nice little package of intelligence. The draft of an important upcoming bid submission, Intertrac's bottom line negotiating position, and the names of the other companies competing for this contract. In the hands of an intelligence professional or a competitor, this information would be devastating. Hi, this is Jeff in Quality Assurance. We're experiencing some problems with our terminals. Hi, this is Dave from Shipping. Most people believe that hackers and industrial spies use only high-tech electronic attacks, but more commonly, they dupe employees into providing small pieces of information. The typical case usually involves a string of phone calls that build on each other. Hi, Ruth. This is Jack from the New York office. How you doing? Great. Listen, I'm over in town here at the Biltmore, and I need a local dial-up. Norman IS couldn't find his new list of numbers, said you were the best organized person over there, and to call you personally. 6598? Great. Thanks so much. Now I could log into the Intertrac network from literally anywhere in the world. At that point, it was the end of day 3. My time was up. Yes, Mr. Sterling. Well, as a way to get started today, I have a few tangible examples of some of the things I collected during my 3 days at Intertrac. I brought these because I believe they represent the breadth of the problem. I think they'll help make my point. The salaries and complete HR files of Intertrac's top 25 executives. The final draft of the CENTCOM bid that Intertrac will be submitting this Friday, along with the company's bottom line negotiating strategy. Complete details of the major alliance that Intertrac is planning to announce publicly next month. Comprehensive marketing plans, including sales forecasts, strategies, budgets, and mock-up ad campaigns. A memo containing details of Intertrac's research and development priorities. And finally, a backup of Intertrac's complete customer database.
It was a bad moment. I was shocked by what Scanlon was able to access. Just how many targets of opportunity he'd been able to hit.
It was all quite a shock, to put it mildly. I have to give Miss Davis a lot of credit for having the guts to take this kind of unorthodox approach. It certainly turned out to be an extremely revealing exercise. It did exactly what she had hoped. It showed us very clearly just how wide open we really were. Not an easy pill to swallow.
Intertrac's degree of exposure is typical, actually. Whether we're talking about a spreadsheet shared across the office or a database shared across the world, the stakes are higher now. User errors, mistakes, and security lapses are magnified. What seem like small, insignificant bits of information can now easily be pieced together and, to a knowledgeable person, can be extremely valuable.
What I really care about, and what Mr. Thomas cares about, is what does it all mean to Intertrac? How does it affect the day-to-day behavior of every employee here?
There's actually a lot that everyone can do. I mean, to start with, access protection and controls are really a company's first line of defense. They're your computing identity, just like a signature. You prevent others from forging that electronic identity by choosing a secure password, keeping it secret, and changing it often.
I also found unauthorized electronic shortcuts that were created by users that actually compromised the system's access controls. Well, things like scripted shortcuts with embedded passwords. These kinds of things gave me instant access to the network.
Also, something as simple as logging off is critical, even if you're away for just a few minutes.
And no matter how clever you think you are, there aren't a lot of original hiding places. Once inside Intertrac's system, I was able to access highly sensitive information as well as involve others inside the company to exploit this widening web of trust. In one particular case, I used email for that.
Origination fraud is one thing, but there are plenty of other security lapses involving email, too. A common error is making a typo in an email address or choosing the wrong recipient from an address directory. Using out-of-date distribution lists that include the names of former or transferred employees, consultants, and so on can just multiply the original leak.
People don't need workstations and passwords to access valuable information. Printed documents exist all over the place. Old, outdated, or draft versions of documents, hard copy printouts, files, discarded copies are just as valuable as online data. Even when people realize that what they're working on is sensitive, the truth is that network printers down the hall or across the building are inherently unsecured, usually right in the middle of public, heavily trafficked areas. It's real easy to get distracted once you've hit the print button, and so documents just lay unretrieved and on display, visible to everyone passing by.
Other common areas of exposure are originals left on the copy machine, faxes left unattended, open file cabinets and desk drawers. Also, careless handling of documents used outside the office, at home, while commuting or traveling. That brings up a whole other set of vulnerabilities.
Remote users, telecommuters, and other on-the-road employees need to keep up the same level of vigilance that they're supposed to maintain within the organization's four walls. Even more so, actually. Office buildings have added physical security controls that homes, public places, or hotel rooms just don't have. Laptops are today's hot property.
People sometimes forget that these little black boxes usually contain a lot of proprietary and typically unsecured information. There are now organized groups of thieves specifically targeting laptops at airports and hotels.
The typical scenario is two people working together near security. As you place your laptop on the conveyor belt, they both get in line ahead of you. One passes through first. The second creates a distraction at the metal detector. While you're stuck on the outside, the first one takes off with your laptop. By the time you get through, they're long gone. Now, the point is, all employees need to be conscious of where they are and who's around. And it's not just professional thieves that you have to watch out for. An overheard conversation by a competitor or knowledgeable outsider can be just as damaging. Whenever bits and pieces of information slip into the wrong hands, whether accidentally or intentionally, security is compromised. Period.
Industrial espionage, or competitive intelligence, whatever you want to call it, isn't a myth anymore. Competitors and even foreign governments are aggressively collecting and using information about companies just like ours every day.
Hackers and so-called social engineers are another kind of external threat, like what I did during my phone calls to Intertrac. These people represent themselves as trusted insiders. They use a wide range of deceptive techniques to extract information that they can then use, sell, or otherwise exploit.
The Internet is a highly unsecured environment, too. Users need to be aware of its security limitations and just how public it really is. Don't put anything out there that you or your boss wouldn't mind seeing on the front page of the newspaper. Our investigation turned up dozens of unauthorized connections to the Internet, which completely circumvented all of our established security controls, leaving the door wide open.
Basically, what it all comes down to is defensive thinking. People need to assume that almost all information is potentially valuable, especially when pieced together.
So, what is everyone supposed to do? I'm not saying that you always need to be looking over your shoulder for the Jack Scanlons of the world who might be lurking in the potted fern over there. Our experience with Jack Scanlon really showed us just how vulnerable any organization's information is and how it's in everyone's interest to help watch out for one another.
The bottom line is that people just need to be more aware of their environment and of the day-to-day information they come in contact with. Just locking up the file cabinet alone isn't enough. It's not that simple anymore. The rules have changed. My assignment at Intertrac certainly made that clear.
In terms of those 3 lost faxes to Mr. Thomas, the computer's transmission logs showed it was a relatively simple mix-up of documents with similar names. But more importantly, it was a real wake-up call. It got everyone in the company working to make sure that such an information security lapse could never happen so easily here again.